in the small hours, with the roof askew. It comes, hand upon my knee, to find a purchase point. Settles with a lightness on my thigh. Proceeds, with me awake now, to put on weight, and let its voice grow and grow into a whisper shout. Oh, the joys of day! Oh, oh, the worries of night! This is what I must accommodate. Happy sing-song to a sick birthday tune, and what did I eat? This is what I must stand up to. Cold hand on a heart that does not need to own everything. Beat, don't bark, beat. This space between bitter and abandoned will not pull me down, oh no. I stroke its head like a dying pup, such innocence and knowing. But I shall be saying goodbye, leaving it behind, walking alone tomorrow. Needing to take control of our fears, maybe. Not let them hang around on their own for somebody else to pick up and twist. And I'll jump to this one, which is called The Fear. It might run on from the one we've just read, we'll see. But it comes from, again, those small hours in the night, probing an anxiety that other times you might want to run away from. Just a touch, like you're playing with a bruise, to see what it is. I think it is actually love. Like a cell dividing. When it is approached through eyes in high wind and the children shift apprehensively, knowing what's not known is real, no power in the forearm, still taking steps, tentative, to where you thought the monster lived. There are bones you can use to make a house. There is fur, which everybody sheds. There is the abandonment, but there is no beast. Not any longer. What there is the thing you will cry for, mourn for. And mostly it is love. Because you always wanted more. The next, I think it shares something with that last one. A sense of discovery of something, perhaps feared, perhaps not. I've called it grace for the moment. See if that fits. Perhaps it is not you. It is your nature, coming wild, on four paws from the mountains, with all the world behind them, and the water calling softly to their tongue, "Drink from me." And now you dare not move, as they glide, every hair counting, through a sky that's yours, through a fire just ignited once, through a skin that says, "This is not you, but I am all you are. I am all." And you come home to your fur, to your hunger, and your thirst satisfied from this certain pool, to your teeth. Perhaps this is not all, because time alone is a place to go to. Still, when they no longer need to be seen, then you can collect your things, if they're precious to you, and leave together. Grace. How you doing? Hope you're all well. I wonder what I shall read for you next. There's a number of fairy-related poems and mythological-related poems which I'd like to read you, if you fancy those. But I think I shall read one more nighttime poem. One that's called "See What Happens When You Don't Sleep." Still tonight. It won't be noticed, the time sleeping over. The cliff edge is quiet. Still tonight. The air is taking a break, settled like a cat. Still, this moment. No falling asleep, since that implies movement. Still, this moment, this night, this age that I'll never surpass. Air is a panic. How it makes my heart race. Is it me? 1,000 beats a... Need it to be this still. Hand in every place, too full of a dichotomy. Soon is the lie you don't believe. Still tonight. Little fires. Water. Water will tell you if you're breathing in or out. So I'm kicking time down the stairs just to find direction where to go. See what happens when you don't sleep. Okay, I promised you fairies. You may not be up for fairies. This may be the time when you go, where you leave me. That's fine. But here's some fairies. Beginning with one that's inspired by a folktale, a Scots folktale, of a wee fella in a blue jacket who can be seen by the fairy well at Logie in Stirlingshire. It's called Blue Jacket. Travelling the road to Sheriff Muir, you might catch beside the well a flash of, was it blue? Who can tell? Feel a thirst you never knew you had before. And take a step into the dell to fill your hands with water clear, cool and dancing. Bring it near to drink beside the what's that smell? And who's the little fella here? In tailored jacket blazing blue and golden buckles on his shoe and grinning in no ways sincere. Talking business as if he knew you well in single days. Before the love and childer came your ways, and on your brow the ridges blue. And can you believe the things he says? The water dribbling from your hand, your tongue as dry as sand, and still caught within his craze. Oh, take your drink, you thirsty man. His belly rolling, now he's strolling, calling, will you join the band? As the fellas come with colours bowling out from all the open hill, with drums and pipers blowing shrill and in no ways consoling. Water in your fingers still, but gone almost and nearly lost. You raise and drink your fill. What magic can this water boast? A single drop's enow to fill your belly anyhow. But wonder at the cost. The fairy dance upon the brow, the rolling, rollicking, sharp and glad, and nearly mad, departing in the glow. The fella in his jacket clad, and quiet as it was before. You on the road to Sheriff Muir, with a thirst you never knew you had. I don't know whether to warn you of the fair folk or say welcome them. Tricky either way. Another other world. No. That was not fairyland. Too much iron. Too much spilt blood. The border was neither fine nor shining. Blade. It was blade. But the ringing, singing, ringing swoop of missiles flying. That is a hand. That is a land just as hard to return from. Just as hard. Something of trauma in that. Probably returning from trauma if you can. I'd like to try this one with you if I may. It's inspired by Norse mythology. Specifically a poem called Grimnismal, where Odin, disguised as Grim, or Grimnir, which means the hidden one, challenges a giant to a question and riddle contest, the prize of which is the other's head. And so it's inspired by that a little, and it's formed in shape by that a little, in that it's alliterative and in a similar metre to that one, and I've called it Grim. Odin sat between two fires, questioning this giant. Fire on my sword hand, fire on my shield. The cold that runs across my mind is not enough. Iron nerves can melt. Daring to be dead already may dull the fear. Immense the Etin imitates the sky. Knowledge comes from nothing, knowing void. Thought waits on motion, memory on both. Odin is the stillest thing, stays curious. By what name is it known among the 9 worlds, the fear in every heart? First among the Jotun, if you have wisdom words can carry, speak so you can be heard. Spit is Kvasir's blessing. The fire is afraid of falling away. The ice fears inertia. Ettinkind understanding. The Vanir make a villain out of virtuous thought, while the Aesir have no fear but annihilation. Men fear leaving the middle way, women fear their words of command. The elves fear the other will be lost. The dead fear nothing. Doom is assured. Now I have named it, next is yours. Speak out, hooded one, what holds your fear? I will tell you when tomorrow comes. This dread, like you, lying dead at my feet. Hail Odin. I've been reading recent a book which treats of the Alpha, the elves in Old English, Anglo-Saxon literature, and that's inspired a few thoughts and a few poems which I'd like to do. 3 of, I think. But I'm not going to tell you what story this is inspired by initially. I might tell you afterwards, but I'd like you to hear it as is, for whatever thought you have of it. It could be a particular character speaking, but I didn't want you thinking it was her. There's something about it that I'd like you to think, oh, it's me, the author. And it's called Make of Me Beadahild. Alf surprised me with his beauty. He was a big man, but he needed a limp when he walked, and he shone with a swan's grace, bewildered. He'd a love he would sing of, flying over, he would follow with his eyes. It was bewitching. Before settling his gaze upon me. And I, an object of desire, would stand like a shield above him as he fell, as he danced, feeling as the light does on silver, on gold, as the chains at his ankle. He showed me 2 cups he had made for my father, a ring made for me. He showed of me wings that would carry us. I grew in surrender, his bill, my neck, because I wanted this touch in a man's hands, ridden on a mare. I felt this roar, I lifted him into the air, both of us biting on freedom, the sky as our brother. He told me I prophesied words in my sleep. He thanked me for my blessing. Where I disappeared to, where I coalesced, I cannot remember, nor where he went. Some of you may have recognised the story is that of Voland, the elven smith taken by a cruel king, given having his hamstrings cut and being forced to make precious things for him and his family, and how Voland got his revenge by slaying that king's sons and seducing his daughter Beordahild, and then flying away on the wings of a swan to meet his swan lover, whose name is Hervor. And so this is the second poem on that same story, talking of the love that we would watch flying over. She, a swan, descended onto me, flight released from feathers white, traded for weight. Voland, my love, honked through a hard beak, held then, circled her wing around my soft neck, berry eyes beaming, bill rasps a warding spell of care spoken. Spring of sunrise will see her leaving, I left sleeping. Brothers gone a roaming, breaking doors, soldiers seize me, sent to the island, ring snatched, broken, sword blade gone, Nithud lays his need bands, knives to the hamstring. Bring them with my beauty, brothers and a sister. Faces flare, forge my own bindings, cupping their heads, claiming her ring. Boys made to goblets, girl made a bearer. She, a swan, I sing down upon me, opens out my whitest neck, webs on my feet, settle her breast snug on my own. Feel the lift of flight. Fiercely she loves. There's a barrow near Uffington known as Wayland's Smithy. Prehistoric, very old. But an attachment was formed for the people there between him and it. This next is kind of related, kind of not, but it's a step away. The title is called Alf Seeden, with Seeden being a word for a kind of magic, ascending magic, of throwing yourself out into spirit worlds to travel. And it goes like this. There is a magic called unmanly, though I put it on for you. I tuck myself away, lie down like a dishcloth, swallow my tongue, and I burst from myself like a breast, leaping dove-like over ether, through a wended way, travel over all my feeling, trailing ribbons from my claws, dropping feathers as flame to light my way back to you, to me. Till I see you, I am only gasping, grappling for air, Till I see you, I am expulsion. Till I see you, do I look or look away? If I look at you, I will blare. But this magic is unmanly. So I take you in, untouched, ride you like a mare. But of course it's only in my mind, in my gorge, on the bone beneath my belly. But in the corner, my left behind seethes, wishing, 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 wishing. This might follow on from that. Something called "This happened the first time we didn't sleep together." Perhaps it's my sweat in the bed keeps me out of it. Perhaps it's the lack of temperature. Perhaps it's the light hasn't dripped from my eye yet. Perhaps it's your face, which is his face, and her face too. Perhaps it's the words nailed inside my skull. There's an echo like a metro in my bone. Perhaps if I spit it here, like a God's truce, drawing it like an opening onto the page. Perhaps if you were here, in this darkness, and I would be real, and you would not be with him. Perhaps if I walk, find a cup of tea. Thank you so much for bearing with me all this. I hope you're good. Hi, Barbie. Jerry, yes, of course you go. And Heather, hello. Thank you for joining. So, what have I got? I've got 3 more, I think, I would like to read you. That last one had that element of longing for someone who was not available to you in any way. And it's called Empty Frame. If the candle is unlit at your window, I turn away, not staring in hope for a belated spark, and you alone. Ever the doubt, did I turn too soon? Is it always a corner taken that light cannot bend around? Shadow is actually softer, curves. I walk through its breathing, and if you've called after, I have not heard. My second to last one is quite a leap from the other ones I've read already, though it does speak of fear, which some of the earlier ones touched on. It's written in the first person, it's written as I, but as it will become clear when I read it, it's not I. It's people we know, people we care about, people who are our friends, people we live alongside, who work alongside, who live with a very real and actual fear that in many ways I can find it very hard to imagine. So it's obviously not I speaking. I hope maybe I'm speaking something for those loved ones, those cared ones, and it's titled For the Shooting of Jacob Blake, August 2020. Can you see how these knots are tied? Tight as iron. If I surrender to your blue, I may die. If I bow, bend, allow my hands to be taken from me, still, your knee may be imposed, and I may die. Could you surrender so to your own failure to apprehend? Our fear is allocated disproportionately. I fear for my life, and don't run, walk away. You fear for yours, even with a gun, shoot anyway. Tight as iron. Can you see how these knots are tied? Can you imagine them? Please. Somehow undone. I hope it does justice to the injustice of the shooting of Jacob Blake. And so my last for this evening. Kathleen, hiya, Kat, hello. Good to see you. Can't read what you're saying. Let me just look. It is still live, Kat. Yes, here's proof. Okay. It is live, and soon it won't be because this is my last. And this, of course, you're watching the video later on. In which case, sorry, I fibbed. But it was live, and now you don't know if for your life I'm confusing you. Two worlds at the same time. I'm going to return for this last one to Fairy, to the elves who've run like stitches through this one. And this one's about stitches too, because it's called The Seamstress. An old-fashioned word, of course, harking back a little to a old-fashioned time. The seamstress. She wears a red hat now, since the cloak got fouled, and the tracks in the yard became obscured. As she works by the door for the light, on the floors all the trimmings of the cloth, cut and dropped. Her fingers seem fevered, skilful, swift, and feathered. Needle flashes quick, and the occasional drip. Breeze blowing in from the street stirs the fabric at her feet, gathers them apart. That, and tiny hands in the dark. Retires when the sun slumps, throws in the night, joins the lumps in the bed. Gentle hands, tiny, at her head. Silent, sneaky stitchwork then, carves a collar, turns a hem, puts a cincture in a waist, a flare and a sense of haste. Wakes, fingers eased, fabric flowing in the breeze from a door ajar, the garment laid out for her. Gathering her cap of red, steps to the street, to the wood, dressed in something understood. Enchanted.